this is a guy, again, I gave you the background of like...
I'm not saying he's a horrible person. Yeah, I'm sure
we don't know what
I'm sure he's really nice
I don't
to
know
the
what
people
he's
he loves and that he cares about, and maybe...
I don't know. I'm not going to speculate that. I mean,
he's just a dick to everybody else.
I think, honestly, I think he's very fake. I think we saw it in the first DC fight.
He's hugely fake.
You watch those interviews where they're on, I think, ESPN or Fox, and John's just kind of talking this monotone, like, it shouldn't have happened. And then that, they played the off-air footage in the trailer where John's like, you still there, pussy? Yeah. And it's just like, come on, man. Yeah. Like, why didn't you just stay like that? You know, DC didn't change his whole demeanor. He was very much what he was into the...
You know why? Because it seems like John's... Fuck, we're just talking about John.
But anyway,
I'm just saying, but long story short, it seems like John is just... He's unsure of himself as a human being. He doesn't know who he is. He hasn't found himself. And he just seems like he doesn't know what he wants to be.
Yeah, but just to finish off on this point, I wanted to state that, you know, John was this hero when I started watching. Then he got into a DUI. Then he got into a car accident where he hit a pregnant woman.
Before that, he tested positive for coke.
Oh yeah, there was just drug stuff. But I mean, those are out of competition things. I don't necessarily think just because you do cocaine you might be a bad person.
No, I don't. I don't think so. I don't think so either. I wasn't big on that either.
It's not a performance enhancer.
No, and on top of it too, like in all fairness, they tested him out of competition randomly when. They really weren't. It turns out, as far as I remember, they didn't have the jurisdiction, or they weren't in the right to have tested him at that time. And even if they were, I remember they were strictly prohibited from actually releasing that kind of information.
That's a whole different thing where we gotta talk about USADA and what they did.
Yeah, but everything else, you're right.
So this guy goes from being a hero to a villain, and I mean, like, literally, when you think he can't mess up anymore, like, he got stripped of his title. All right, comes back. We're ready for this supposed new John Jones who's supposed to beat Daniel Cormier. And, you know, I still had Daniel winning that fight, but then I'm biased. And I really do think DC has improved, you know, from where he was the first time they fought. But
well, we can quote Batman and just say he's been around long enough to become the villain.
There you go. So, you know, you were waiting 3 days before the fight, PED use. And I don't see, if this is a 2-year suspension, I don't know what happens to John after this. So
yeah, if it's a 2-year suspension, what was he suspended for? Or like, not necessarily suspended, but after the DUI and all that stuff and the accident with the woman, what was that, like a year?
It was about a year and a few months. Yeah, a year and a few months. But then
if he gets full-on suspension from USADA right now, which it'll probably be 2 years. Yeah. That's like a 3.5 years.
Well, he did fight
in your prime,
but he did fight OSP.
OSP,
there,
but
so.
but
that was a terrible fight.
But just, I'm not saying like 3 years off straight, but I'm saying that's still 3.5 years.
It's
taken from you.
It's essentially Dominic Cruz,
your athletic prime.
It was Dominic Cruz had 1 fight in 3 years, but that was different because he was injured.
It's not up to him.
Yeah, he was injured.
Whereas these are decisions that are completely made by John.
Yeah,
and that are like these are mistakes that he's making that are preventing him from being able to do what he's fucking put on the earth to do. Because I can guarantee you, John does not have the gift of gab.
No,
John is not going to be acting in
McGregor.
fucking movies anytime soon. Okay, he's not going to do it. Maybe he would have a really good run on Dancing with the Stars. Okay, but he's not like he couldn't make it in football. He did okay in wrestling in high school. He did very well in wrestling. But fighting is his sport. That's what he does. That's what he's going to do. And it's a shame to see like one of what could potentially be the best fighter of all time have 3.5 years taken away potentially from the prime, the peak of his career. Yeah. So if he does get suspended for another 2 years, I don't know what the fuck is going to happen. I have no idea. I don't know if he's going to come back the same. I don't know if he's going to want to come back the same. He might be really distraught and depressed. He might never get the mental fortitude back to where he was. You know, he might start doubting himself. I don't know what's going to happen. Or all that's bullshit and he comes back and he just wrecks everybody and takes off picks up where he left off.
And here's the thing. What does this do to DC's career? I mean, there's this question now, you know, always lingering, can DC... Here's my opinion. DC is the champion. He is the unquestioned light heavyweight champion of the world, whether people like it or not. He never got disqualified for competition. I mean, he's only lost to one guy. And you look at the names he's beaten. He's beaten Anderson Silva, Frank Mir, Roy Nelson, Anthony Johnson,
Bigfoot
Alexander
Silva.
Augustus, Bigfoot Silva.
Dan
I mean, that
Henderson.
Grand Prix heavyweight tournament
Yeah.
has names like Alistair Overeem, Fabricio
Yeah.
Verdum. I'm probably forgetting a few other names in there.
What
but,
really pisses
you
me
know.
off is that DC forever, just from what's already taken place, even if he accomplishes a little bit more, is always going to be overshadowed by the controversy of John Jones. I really think so.
Maybe.
I think it's always going to
I
leave a
hope
question mark. I hope not too.
I hope
And you
not.
can't like the real fans like us. They know. We know that like you can't doubt what DC's done. But there's always gonna be this
there's-
like ugly little fucking like point in time.
Let me say something about
you
DC really quickly. Name me a person who starts MMA at the age of 30. At the age of 30. And by the age of 37 is number 2 pound for pound maybe
or
in the
close
world.
to it, yeah.
I think he's
And
a
a world champion.
I think he's
yeah.
definitely up there. But
Yeah.
just to finish on this note with John Jones, here's what I wish. I hope that it's not a 2-year suspension. I think it's really bad for the sport if it is.
Yeah.
He is a great fighter in the ring. Outside the ring, he is a horrible human being in my eyes, and I really hope he figures out his life. I mean, we're the same age, and he's definitely accomplished a lot of things, and I really admire him for his accomplishments.
Yeah, it's huge.
But what he's done outside of it, I mean, maybe it's the media spinning it out of proportion, but you hit a pregnant woman and run away. There's no way to spin that. You got off scot-free. Like no jail time, no nothing.
I agree. I also
Community
think
service.
too, though, when you make these kinds of mistakes, you're privy to having people be harsher on you in the future.
Yeah.
So like
he's not a kid.
Well, it's like crying wolf basically. Yeah. Like these things have happened. He's not a kid, but I'm saying these things have happened to him. Now the next time something does happen, like people are automatically going to think like it could be not so like something that's not quite as big.
Yeah.
People will automatically think of his past. Like what I'm saying is people are more sensitive to the subject of him fucking up now, like or him making mistakes. So that's the issue with him now. Like he's got to be on his absolute best behavior, better behavior than even a regular person like DC who doesn't do anything wrong.
So-
you know what I mean?